So I actually wanted to start off by talking about your grandparents, your dad's parents, migrant workers, immigrated from Mexico to the U.S. back in the day. Tell about their background.
My grandpa likes to call it like the American dream, just that they grew up with a vision of kind of turning around, the history of, the family, I guess you could say, and coming to the United States. And they worked really hard, and they've been all over. And anyone who's come in contact with, my grandparents, they just fall in love with them right away. They're just really genuine, hardworking people who get along with everybody and have touched a lot of lives in their career. And, they're very special to us.
Do you know why they came to the States?
Well, my grandpa tells it, mostly because for him it was an American dream. Like America was something that was a very, just cultural changing thing for the future of your family. And I think that was why he wanted to. But
what did you find the reality of it to be when he actually got here?
well, my grandpa, you have an ability to, if you work hard, you can do things here, and that's what happened. He was very smart. He was willing to work, and he could use his, knowledge and his brain to almost do multiple things to make a living.
What did he do?
Well, they've done 10,000 things, but over the years he would just have his hand in this, a hand over here, and doing the roof over here, and try and make a little company over here doing this, and he would just be all over. And they're small when you first start off, but over time, he's plumbing over here. He could do a lot of different stuff.
What jobs did your dad have over the years?
My dad really had one, for most of his life. He was just a carpenter, and growing up, he would leave for work 5 a.m. and get home at 5:30, and he would just, worked his way up from carpenter, all the way up to superintendent, to project manager, all the way to the end. And he's rooted in hard work. He's built that way, and he was an old Navy guy, so that's my dad.
Ooh, what about your mom?
She's basically, I think she's like a bookkeeper. She does a lot of the books, helped me over the years with that. And just with so much stuff coming in, you needed someone to have them, handle all that stuff has been, really almost priceless in a lot of ways for just the ease that you, as a player, or someone, when you're going through so much other stuff, you don't have to worry about certain things. They're double checking, triple checking, everyone's checking on each other. When I have my parents, it's like you got to go through as far as just, meetings with just finance stuff. And
you have two people that you trust explicitly handling it, which
oh yeah,
means so
well, and we have multiple people doing, but they're going to know how all these things are looking and what's going on, and they're going to we're going to make the best decision. And you just have to have people that you trust really unconditionally. Is such a huge advantage. And my parents are very, giving, selfless people.
I was talking to your dad, Ramiro, yesterday, and he was telling me how, back in the day when he was in the Navy, there was a point where he was earning $500 a month. How tight growing up at various points were finances?
For me, I didn't know anything different. I could have a shirt on and a ball and be fine for a week, So I didn't know there was even a world that was any different than, money didn't really register.
Is there stuff now, though, that you look back on and recognize?
There's plenty of things that you could tell as you get older and you could see, but it was just a normal growing up, family that just, you're making meatloaf and you're eating, and I don't want to eat this vegetable, and I'm going to sit there until I finish my vegetables, and then I can go watch the game with Dad or go shoot baskets. And I think we were never going out to eat very much, or things that you just take for granted, I guess, now. It was just like a regular family, and it was great.
How would you describe the house you grew up in?
I said this one time about football, it's like, it was big back when you were growing up. When you look back now, obviously it's small, but I love that house.
You lived there with your parents and
my
your
two
two
sisters.
older sisters. Your mom was telling me yesterday too that if she had you first, she would have never had other kids.
Yeah, she's told me that a few times. I think just my energy and the level of like go, 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 made her have to move quite a bit. So, I was just always wanting to play sports and just go and compete and play and then crash. Like it'd be bedtime. She's like, you were the best at bedtime, because I'd be like, and it's bedtime. No. Wake up 14 hours later, 12, whatever, 10 hours, and get back up and go.
I want to talk to you about preparation. It's your freshman year of college. You go home for the summer. Mm-hmm. You're working in a marina. Mm-hmm. Do nothing to improve your ability. How much does reality hit when you get back to school the following year?
It's a great question. You probably touched on the single biggest shift in my philosophy in that year. You could almost go in a 12-month, 6 to 12-month period where everything I did from that point on is changed from almost before then. In other words, when I went home, I didn't get any better. When I left Eastern Illinois, I went back to Burlington for the summer. When I got back to football in the fall, I was the exact same, if not worse, as a player than I was when I left. And I had 4 months. And I didn't do very well in training camp. I struggled throughout the season. I wasn't playing, I was just a backup. But it was like, nah, this isn't going well. And that's when, right after that season, Coach Spoo called me in and asked me if I wanted to move to tight end. And so I said, I tell you what, Coach, if you still feel the same way after spring football, then we can have the discussion again. But let me go work at this and attack this, and hopefully I can change your mind here in the next 6 months, 8 months. He says, okay, I can allow that. So I made a commitment to every single day of my life, I was going to throw the football, study it, and do as much as I could to get as good as I can. And up until that point, you're almost just living life, and you're in football, but you're not in it. Like, you're not so immersed in it to absolutely get the best out of yourself. And I feel like from that point, that's that year where it shifted, where if you asked anyone during that time, you're going to see me throwing the football quite a bit, morning, noon, night, open
you get
gym.
home and throw it into the couch, right?
Yeah, throw it into the couch at night. But I mean, like during basketball, we go to play basketball during the day in the off season, and in between, you win 3 games, you lose the next, you got to sit out a game. I have a football there, and I'm dropping back as fast as I can, throwing the football on the side, for as long as it would, and then the next, and then you do it. And afterward, I'd go in and throw with a different buddy. You always had to find a buddy who was willing to no one wants to be that guy every time, so it's like, hey, will you do this right now? I'll give you something, So, I had a lot of buddies who'd throw under the lights late at night outside. Just a lot of people helped me along the way.
And your Eastern Illinois coaches up to that point really didn't think you were very good, right? I mean,
no, that's why they asked me to move to tight end.
Particularly hard on you too.
As they should be. I wasn't very good, and I needed to improve. And what happened, to wrap up the story, was basically 6 months later, when I went through the spring game, I went like 19 for 22, for like 3 touchdowns. And I asked Coach coming off the field, I said, do you mind if I stay at quarterback? He goes, yeah, I think you can stay at quarterback.
What's more satisfying to you, the process of improving or the actual event that you've prepared for?
Not even close. It's improving. By yourself and feeling like you actually are better than you were before brings me great joy. That's probably the best deep-rooted, joy I get from sports. Winning and losing, that stuff is all what makes it like competitively enjoyable. But it's like at your core, it's like when your kid smiles at you, it just does something, right? When they run in and give you a hug, it's just different. And in sports terms for me, it's improving. It's about knowing I wasn't good at this before. I'm getting pretty good at this now. And I love that.
Whether football or broadcasting, what do you think the essential elements been responsible for your success in two fields?
I mean, there's a million things that go into it. I mean, the best attribute is that the good Lord gave me some gifts, and I try and use them to the best of my ability. And sometimes they work out. Sometimes you got to fight like heck to get there and figure it out. But I like figuring stuff out. I like trying to analyze it. It's not about, winning right now. You have to do this. It's like we all want to win. We all want to be the best at something. But it's mostly about, all right, we're the best at. And now let me go just watch and study and look at them and try and figure out the commonalities and what makes them special, and see if I can figure out, what makes things at a very high level. And then from there, I'd like to attack figuring it out and go into, then make that a routine, some sort to go. So it's like you had to pick out the three things in the golf swing, let's say, that are the most important. Instead of attacking 1,000, let's systematically take what are the three real big things that the best do, and let's try and figure out, okay, what does it produce? Why does that produce it? And then how do they go about practicing to get those to be repeatable? And then fundamentally you go attack them, and it takes a while, but if you do things right, hopefully you have a chance in the end.
Notepads, I think they started for you when you were growing up. I think you'd have them at least a couple around the house. I think it continued at least a little bit during your playing career. What about now?
Yeah, I think it's more on my phone. So in the notes section now, I've got a lot of videos, a lot of notes.
So what's an example of something you'd put in your phone recently?
Well, it would be golf. And what happens is you're trying to learn something. It's the same with the throwing mechanics back in football. You're closer than you actually know sometimes. And so as you're going through this process, if you don't have a plan, if you don't have like a blueprint you're trying to reach, then you're just kind of guessing a lot onto what really matters. So it's like you really shouldn't even start the process of trying to improve or go do something until you figure out what am I trying to achieve? And not just winning, achieve. I mean, what actually am I trying to do with the golf ball, with my throwing motion? Am I trying to do this? Am I trying to get more power? Am I trying to be more accurate? Am I trying to get better throwing to my left? While my weight's on my back foot, am I trying to be taller in the pocket? Am I trying to make sure that I have a short stride? I mean, there's a million things. It's like, what's your blueprint? What are you trying to work on? And what's the goal at the end of it? Once you figure that out, now you can go attack it and get out there. And so my notes will constantly be, if I get outside of my blueprint or my plan, it can make me know I got to get back here and stay with basically the forest and the trees. Let's not get lost in the forest when you're always trying to build this thing.
Broadcasting too?
Yeah, same thing.
What's something you'd put in there for broadcasting?
There's been a lot of stuff. I mean, it's just my stuff. It's just dumb, but.
Okay, what's something dumb?
I mean, just tone or just, something like I found when I sit and before I ever started, I did so many practice games. I like to trial and error a lot. And I would trial and error a ton just to see what I liked more. And
what's a trial and error?
Doing games and doing different voices, mimic someone. Try and be John Madden, try and be Troy Aikman, Chris Collinsworth. I mean, John.
And were you trying different ones?
I would try all of that stuff.
And what do you mean different voices?
Yeah, I mean, try and be them and announce a game. Let me just see what that even sounds like or what that looks like. And then let me try talking normal. Let me try high energy. Let me try da-da-da. And over time, you start to kind of, tighten this thing down. But it just takes time and work. And sometimes you get lucky and stuff works out.
And you said before, a gift that you think you have is an understanding for what you need to do and how to do it to get better.
I appreciate you saying that. I'm not sure I have a gift for that. I just like the process of trying to get better. I do think that's an enjoyable part of what I like to do. You know, whether or not I'm good at it, I don't know. Sometimes you just get lucky with stuff.
Tell about Mr. Havel's broadcasting class.
You've been talking to Nick.
Nick being your longtime best friend.
Yes. So I had two best men in my wedding, co-best men, Nick Scaris and Tom Brewer. Nick and me were in broadcasting class in high school.
And Tom, he
was
to
college.
kill in video games back in the day. You're certainly the college football national championship game that you told us about in the last taping, who's now your spotter
for
at CBS games.
Yes, he does a fantastic job with that. Yeah, that's pretty funny. The broadcasting stuff in high school, we would always basically get our teacher going a little bit. And he would always say things like, you know, he ran BSD, which was our radio station there as well. Me and Nick, the fact that we were in the same class together, we're just having a good time. Always making jokes. Terry's like, I'm going to make you guys go on air. You guys think you know all this stuff and da-da-da-da-da.
What were you saying?
I was like, no, I don't want to go on air. But we went on air and we didn't realize that, like, I mean, you don't know that it's like you're on air. You're just like kind of doing what you do. You're just naive and young, but you know, it was pretty funny. We did okay that time, I think.
And he said what would happen is you would get in trouble in class, and then the teacher would force you to live read a PSA on the radio while the entire class was listening on.
Yes, so they could evaluate me, dissect every move. You were terrible at this, Tony. I was like, yes, that's probably true. You were terrible at that. Yep, that's pretty accurate. Couldn't really stand up and say no. But
explain the fake book reports that you guys would put together. Rafe LaFriends?
Well, we knew that, you know, our teacher, Mr. Havel, didn't know a ton about some of the sporting stuff. So we would just like, yes, Rafe LaFriends. We'd talk about him like he was a general in the army or something, or we'd talk about like Michael Jordan like he was like a biblical thing or something. It was silly because he just didn't know, and he'd be like, this is really good. This guy, you know, he really helped us in World War II here, you know. And we would just die laughing.
Did anybody else in the class have any idea?
I don't think so. But me and Nick had fun. We would write about anybody who was doing good on TV. We'd just write and talk about how great they were in something completely different. And, you know, it was always pretty enjoyable.
Okay, so speaking of broadcasting, we're sitting here on your couch. You look over, there's your media room. I want to take you to, after your home games that you play in for the Cowboys, you'd come back to your house, there'd be friends, family around. Mm-hmm. What would you do?
Well, it was such a enjoyable time when you came back home.
Win or lose?
No, it was mostly when we'd win. I mean, when you lose, it's pretty tough. I mean, every once in a blue moon, if it was my parents and my wife's parents maybe or something, we'd go through something where I'd be like, it'd almost be like I'd be helping myself kind of go back through it. But when you lose, you're devastated. I mean, it's so huge. I mean, I guess for you and what you're going through. But when we'd win, it's like the greatest feeling in the world, and everyone's so excited, and we'd have family members and friends over, and I looked so forward to coming home, and it was just like you had that one night to really enjoy it before you had to start for the next week, the next morning, and we'd go back there. I'd put the game up, and I'd take them through like a series that I thought was really important. So I'd talk about, so here's what the da-da-da-da did, and here's what we did. We called this. Later in the game, you're going to see this is going to come back, and then I'd show them. Same exact look. See, we were able to get to this play, do this. Me and Witten talked about this in the sideline before that. Da-da-da-da, moved the back over, blocked it up. First down on a big play. So it was probably the first time I was doing broadcasting, I guess you could say, what I'm doing now as an analyst. I mean, I had no idea. I was just trying to like get everyone to be as excited as I was about the game after, you know, we'd won. And
did family or friends say anything to you then that like, hey, you'd probably be pretty good at this?
Well, I think
everybody says it now, like that's when they recognized it, but did...
Yeah, I mean, they just enjoyed it. I think more than anything, I don't think we all thought about, you should be a broadcaster. I mean, I was the quarterback, so you felt like you were doing what you were supposed to do. And it was something that I liked without knowing it, I guess. But a lot of it was just, I wanted them to get excited to know how cool this thing mapped out and played out. And because there's so much detail people don't know within a play, but within a game and all week long, what you know, get your team prepared for and get everything that sometimes it doesn't go that way. Now you have to change and adapt within the game, and that something I found that everyone got excited for and like would sit down and like, it wasn't like, we could have 50 people over and they would all be like quiet and like really enjoying it, and so that was fun.
The Super Bowl in Houston, you have a meeting with CBS Sports President Sean McManus, his number 2 David Beerson, and then CBS chief, their boss Les Moonves. What do you remember from that?
That was probably just the first time I was like, wow, I might actually like do this.
What about what happened in the meeting made you feel that way?
Just that they were excited to have you, and that they thought I could be decent at it. And that gets your mind stirring a little bit and takes you from one place to another.
If CBS hadn't dangled the number 1 A-team position to you, what's the likelihood you think you'd still be even playing football today?
It's a good question. Good thing is that I don't deal in hypotheticals very often. So
you love looking back at that.
I love looking back and just making up stuff. Yeah. No, I don't know. Yeah, it's a good question, but I don't know.
But you would have, had it not been for that, you would have at minimum continued playing football that next season in all likelihood.
Maybe. Once again, it's hypothetical.
How much less of a time commitment is broadcasting than playing, or if you'd gotten into coaching like you thought you might?
Oh, coaching is already number 1 by far. Playing is 2, and then broadcasting is 3, just because when you're playing, you do so much stuff in the team realm as well. In other words, it's not just you getting yourself ready per se. In broadcasting, we're getting stuff ready, but you're also that day the game's gonna be played. So you're gonna broadcast that game. So you go prepared to know and have a ton of information for yourself so that you can call on it at any moment. But in football, the amount of time it would take for all the team to do everything, you'd walk through everything. There's weight room, there's lunch, there's meetings after meetings, there's team meetings, there's individual meetings, there's quarterback receiver meetings, quarterback O-line meetings, and there's third down with all those same things. There's second and long, there's 1st and 10, there's red zone. You can go on, and you do all those things for each of those things, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then, in our world, everyone does their job and they come together. And I think everyone who's at, CBS on that first team is exceptional at what they do. They wouldn't be there if they weren't. And everyone's so ready to go when we all get in, because most people get in, a couple days before the game, and then you do all that stuff in a few days. But you do have more time early part of the week.
A ton more time, right?
Early part of the week, 100%, yeah. You're just, you're watching. For me, it's watching tape.
And playing golf and playing with the kids, right? How special is that?
Well, that's why this job is literally it's as rewarding and perfect for, as a dad. I just think it's really, I'm lucky that I get to be around my kids a lot, and I get to grow up and they're gonna playing with their dad. And I got 3 boys, and it's WrestleMania here every night when they get home from school, and we have a good nighttime sessions all the time. So it's really something I don't want to miss.
And they probably don't recognize it now, but someday they will.
You hope so. Yeah. When you're 80 years old, I want to make sure that my kids think that their dad loved them and that he was there for them.
You ever think you get into coaching?
Not when they're young, no. I've said that a few times. Just, you never know. I never say never about anything, but as the kids are young, like I said, I don't want to miss out on that.
All right, so I mentioned your buddy Tommy being your spotter, and the video games with him.
Yeah.
We have the story in the last episode we taped about you practicing all night to destroy him in the college football national championship. But I understand now, on the plane that you guys fly in together to and from games, there's a pretty decent video game setup. Well,
the funny part is we set up, initially, it was set up, Tom came up with this great idea. He's like, we can watch tape. I have a screen. I have literally like
A projector.
a projector that's small enough yet big enough, if that makes sense. It has to be big enough because the lighting sometimes, but it has to be small enough to carry and travel with and everything. So he put this whole thing together and kept trying little things, and he's great at that stuff. And sure enough, he makes a screen, he sets it up, and we watch it on the plane, and we'd watch tape and stuff, and then he's like, man, we could. So we watched one time, and we're traveling across the country. It's a 5-hour trip or something. And it's like, one time I'm like, I've already watched all the tape. I just had this team 3 times in the last 5 weeks. He's like, let's play a video game. I was like, this takes me back to college. He's like, all right. So he throws like Madden in or NBA 2K. And it was funny because we put Madden on and we start playing. And all of a sudden, one of us is going to win, the other's going to lose. And I'm like, we're not going to spot very well. Like if I lose the Super Bowl here in Madden to you, and now I've got to go out the next day or in 24 hours and sit here next to you, and you're like, hey, I'll be like, don't talk to me. I don't want to talk or hear from you. And I'm like, if I beat you, we're just not going to talk to each other. I'm like, that's kind of a prerequisite for a spotter.
Legitimately, you guys would get that into it.
So we don't play each other. It's like, what are the rules? It's like, it has to be like so far removed. Like we got to go, because we're both so competitive that we're just like, we're never allowed to play on like a trip.
Will you guys play on the flight home then? Not at all? So I heard it was like a tradition now that you guys play video games on these flights.
Yeah, we sprinkle those in for sure, and we do that. Yeah, but it's not like we learned very quickly we should not be doing this with against each other. So it's like Tom will play the computer, for the Super Bowl or something.
Fun is that?
Yeah, it's great, and he wins it every year. He's amazing at it.
You mentioned briefly earlier about you practicing to get ready for your first broadcast. You and Jim Nance did practice sessions at games. You were also in a local studio here in Dallas with the Cowboys radio voice. What did those sessions entail?
A lot. Jim Rickoff, Jim Nance, they put in so much time, before we ever started, just because we wanted to make this successful. And, I was so terrible and raw that I just know you only get one shot at first impressions, and so I feel like you'd rather not wait and see how it goes. You'd rather kind of have a good idea before you start. So I wanted to be prepared, and we practiced a lot, trying out different stuff and trying to find what really makes the difference between, because there's really not winning and losing per se. It's not like you look at the scoreboard and say, oh, I won today. If I kept winning in this thing, we're probably doing okay. I wanted to get beneath it and kind of be like, well, what is it that this world, like, what is it that wins and loses? And then it's like, well, how do you evaluate that? And then it's like, okay, that's hard already to figure that out. Then it's like, well, what is that based on? Well, then it's the fans. So people have to like it. Okay, well, what do people like? I don't know. Let's go look at the best in the world and see what they do and see what I like while watching them and see if I can study them. And then start to kind of morph it into what you think you can do it your own self.
How was the biggest issue that you were having from an operational standpoint?
Touching a button and talking. Someone's talking in your ear, or like there's a million things that go on. Use a telestrator, just like there's so many like nuances that they become normal, and you start to. It's like a routine of anything. But it's like my wife would be like, "Hey, why don't you go ahead and make dinner tonight?" It's like, great, if we're making eggs or steak or something I'm cooking on the grill. But she's like, hey, make this chicken cordon bleu over there and put it in the oven. I'm like, okay, let me go ahead and start with what? What is that exactly? So it's kind of like that. You just trying to figure out what's the first step here?
Yeah.
Where do I not mess up big? Then you go from there.
What's the deal with predictions?
Yeah, it's kind of overblown a little bit. I feel like I'm just trying to teach football and talk about it. It's not like I'm trying to predict or, it's not deeper than just talk about what you're seeing.
So. The Wall Street Journal, though, did a whole story on it.
Yeah, I can remember.
It counted up all the predictions and. success rate and found that you do the most in the fourth quarter of a close game, and they interviewed you for it too.
They did. He came up to me, I can remember, the reporter. He's a nice kid. And he goes, and we counted to see how many of your predictions are right. And I was like, oh gosh. And I was like, okay. And he's like, well, do you want to know what percentage you got right? I was like, nope, I do not want to know what I got. I'm like, I don't want to hear 4%, 9%. And then he made it, it was quite a bit higher. So I was like, oh, I'm kind of okay with that number. It's like a completion percentage.
2018 AFC Championship game. Two people close to you, when I was just talking to them, both brought up that game being almost a turning point for you as a broadcaster, if nothing else, then in terms of perception and positive feedback and all that you received following the game?
Yeah, that's a good point of view from them, I guess. I mean, for me, though, it's like you do a game, and like I said, there is no scoreboard at the end. So when I did that game, I can remember walking out, and it's like, wow, what a great football game. Because it was a great football game, and it had, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, came down, it was overtime. Just rare you get those perfect scenarios. And I feel like when I left the stadium, we're walking out and it's like, great game, good job guys, everyone's good. Hey, should we order a pizza or do something kind of thing? And I walk down, we get down to the bottom, and I can remember the faces of just like the whole team and everybody and how excited everybody was. Like it was different as far as like, everyone's like, that was unbelievable. And I'm like, that was a great game. They're like, no, what you did was incredible or something. I'm like, oh, thank you. That was really nice of him to say. I mean, I don't get that not very often. That's really nice. And then the next one, I was like, wow, it really was a good game. I mean, it's like you don't even know, you're just doing your job, and then.
Afterwards, Bryce Harper's posting on social wanting you to tell him where he's going to sign with the next season.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, football is very unique in that we all love it and stuff, and hopefully I do a decent enough job to like help people like it.
What was the takeaway or lesson learned from your first Super Bowl that will help you for this next one coming up?
Really, for me, it's always evaluating just like the things I care about, which I'm not going to share deeply, but Super Bowl went well. Obviously, it was not a high-scoring game, so it makes it a little bit, the excitement of it sometimes is less when it's lower scoring. But, I appreciate a low-scoring game, same thing. And I feel like it's a game that was similar to the AFC Championship game, similar to the week before. I mean, you're doing your game.
So you don't have nerves going into that, or nerve management, or
yeah. I mean, I feel like you're always excited.
Yeah.
I feel nerves would be. That's the excited start of doing something that you feel is cool. You feel lucky to be in the position. I feel very fortunate to be able to do something like that. But I'm excited to talk about it and see what's gonna happen. Like I'm excited for these two teams and see who's gonna change their lives right here today.
So we have an envelope that I've been asked to give you.
Oh boy, this never turns out well.
Never turns out well?
Just the random surprise envelope.
So as mentioned, I was talking to your friend, former, also an Eastern Illinois alum, and Saints head coach Sean Peyton about you the other day, and he asked me to give this to you.
Okay. It's a check for $10,000. Signing bonus.
What's the story behind that?
That's pretty funny. So Sean Peyton was the quarterback coach, really our offensive coordinator. When I was coming in, he called the plays, and Sean went to Eastern Illinois. And so when I came out, I was a free agent, so you have to sign with a team. And so what happens is you got different teams calling, and so people offer you money, but you didn't get drafted, so they're not giving you very much money. So what happens is free agents, sometimes it's like, oh, this team will pay you this team will pay that. Well, if this is the only chance you're gonna have to make money, you go with the most amount of money. So if someone's gonna give you $30,000 and this other team's giving you $5,000, you're going to the $30,000 team. Well, I had a couple teams that were offering, 15, then I went to 20, 25, almost 30, I think, for one of them. And the Cowboys and Sean Peyton are at 10. Now, I'm sitting there and I'm like, can we move that up to 20, And Jerry Jones is like, Bill Parcells and Jerry Jones are sitting there. And I'm like, hey, can we do 20? I tell Sean Payton, he goes, let me go ask Jerry, and because I kind of want to go there, but I'm like, Mike Shanahan's over here in Denver. I like him. And Sean comes back on, and he's like, yeah, it's going to be 10. Now, behind the scenes, it was already at 10. I was asking for 20. Behind the scenes, Sean goes back there, and Jerry's like, you like this guy? He goes, I really do. I think he really could be a good player. I really do like a lot of his traits. And he goes, all right, well, let's give him 20. I mean, what are we dealing with? This is a quarterback if you think he's got a chance. Sean's like, nah, I got him for 10. Comes back on, Sean's like, yep, I can only get him for 10, but I think you should do this stuff. So I was like, okay, I'm just like, money doesn't really matter. You try for a second, then you're like, all right, 10 it is, I'm going there. And so I went, and over the years, Jerry's told me the story. Sean, he goes, I don't know you that well yet, Sean Payton, but you just saved me $10,000. Jerry Jones thanks you, And Sean's like, I got off to a good start in Dallas. And then, I've always joked, he's owed me $10,000 all these years because he was the only reason I didn't get an extra 10. So he finally paid me the 10. It just goes to show you how much he's getting paid over there in New Orleans.
Well, actually, in all seriousness, he brought this up when I was talking to him. He said, how cool is it that, we both went to Eastern Illinois, not the, hotbed of talent, and I'm now the highest paid coach in the world, and Tony is now the highest paid sports announcer in the world.
I think it's, Eastern Illinois has been rare because they've had, the people that have come in the football world, it's incredible. The coaching, Mike Shanahan, Eastern Illinois, Sean Payton, Mike Heimerdinger. There's like 5 or 6 guys who have all come through there. And I think, Sean's always been a special friend to me. He's been great. I got started with him when I was young in the NFL. And the fact that he gets to, he's well-deserving as a coach. He's that good. And it's a great call by New Orleans to go get him. And, for me, I feel lucky that I get to broadcast. The fact that we both get to stay in the NFL, Sean was in the NFL. He played quarterback during the strike-shortened season. He's got one of the worst plays I've ever seen on film. It was terrible.
Oh, really?
It was just a bad interception. Then he tried to tackle, and it was even worse. It was terrible. But
He said you guys have a little friendly competition going on the salary front. And he asked me, he said you sent him a message after, you got yours. And he asked me to point out that after bonus on his end, he could be up to 18 a year.
Well, as you know, I don't talk about contract stuff, but Sean is really well deserving, and he actually, I'm just glad he gave me my $10,000.
On the contract front, I know we aren't going to get into specifics, but we were talking earlier about your grandparents, migrant workers, immigrated to the U.S. Your dad was working long hours, finances were tight, and through your own just hard work, like you're living the American dream. And your dad pointed out yesterday when I was talking to him on the phone that your success, has been able to completely shift the course of the Romo family in terms of like generational wealth that you're talking about. When was the first time with this new deal that you just got an understanding for the magnitude of what it could be?
Well, 2007 was the first big deal I ever received that was like life-changing. Really, I remember the story with my second year in the league when Jerry Jones and Bill Parcells sit me down right before a preseason game.
Cornered you.
Yeah, they cornered me. Literally were like closer than this. And they're like, Tony, we can't play for the whole league to see and go out here. I mean,
You hadn't started a game yet.
nope, I was in year 2, and they're like, we need you to sign this deal for, $500,000. Something. I'm making league minimum $250 or so. And I just told them right there, I was like, I completely understand why you guys, would say that. And if I was in your shoes, I would do the same thing. I also think that the only way I want to play, that's all I care about. So the only way, though, that you'll play me is if you have something invested in me that makes you want to see if I'm worth it. And if the money doesn't really matter to you, then I don't see that you'll have a need to give me the reps to see if I can actually play. So I just told him, I said, for me, it was like $2 million over 2 years. So it was like 2 a year. So it'd been like 4 total. I was like, for that, I feel like you'll want to you might have like an opportunity. You might actually put me in a game to see. And so.
And who the heck are you at the
Yeah,
time? You're
I
just
mean,
a
believe me,
backup
it's-
quarterback talking to the owner of the Dallas
And the head
Cowboys and one of the
coach.
greatest
Yeah.
coaches ever to live.
Believe me, I didn't want to do it. It was as nerve-wracking a situation as I've ever been in. And but I was just telling him, I said, I really believe that you guys would feel a little bit more pressure to at least play me. Because I said, if, Drew Bledsoe takes our team to the, NFC Championship this year, I'm not playing. And next year he's back again. And for that, it's like, I just want to get on the field and have an opportunity. You really show myself too, if I can do this and be good. Because you're practicing, you think you're getting better, and you're like, you just want an opportunity. And it's shocking how long 2-3 years feels like. I mean, it felt like a lifetime when it was 3 years and, some games that before I ever played. And that was the moment right there where when I said that, I was just trying to be logical, and Jerry's like, we're going to do it. Done. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm the richest guy in the world. I just got $2 million, and it's like, I'm pretty sure the rest of my life, I'm going to be just fine.
And it's real money then.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's the biggest one, really at the core, where I felt like you change your course, right? Then in 2007, a few years later, after I'd played, and by the way, so when I walked out of that room, Jerry and Parcells told me later on, Jerry says, you wouldn't believe, right when you walked out of that room, Parcells looks at me and he goes, we got ourselves a quarterback. Did you see how poised he was with that? Come on, Jerry. And they were like hugging like kids. And I'm thinking, hopefully they didn't take offense to that whole thing.
Right.
So.
What did that teach you?
It just, I wouldn't say it taught me a whole lot. It just taught me that, tell the truth. I mean, just like, you can literally stand there, and if it's, you don't need to make stuff up and everything. I mean, that really, everything I was thinking was like, this is why I think this would be better. I mean, like, obviously you want, to get paid, but I wanted to get paid so I could play.
Right.
It wasn't just the money. It's like, listen, I'll pay you back the money. I'll go back to $500,000 if you play me, And so that was the feeling, and I feel like, that probably taught me just, you can stand up and just tell people the truth a little bit, and it'll be fine, and people respect that. And 2007 was the big one for, you talk about the changing of the family and stuff. That was where we signed a big deal, and that was just silly amounts of money. So, but that's what happens. I mean, you get lucky sometimes and catch a break.
With this one with CBS, not talking numbers specifically, when you found out what the offer was, how did you find out, and what was your reaction?
Yeah, I'm not going to go into detail on just the contract stuff now, because I feel like it doesn't, like I've always said, just maybe in 15 years after my football career is over, I'll tell you those stuff.
Well, so not talking any numbers, just do you get a call?
Yeah, I just don't like talking about contract stuff.
All right, here's one that's not contract specific then. I talked to your dad at Pebble Beach. We're talking about the Dunhill tournament in Scotland. You're a big golfer, obviously. And I'm like, yeah, kind of bum deal. It's in the fall. You know, Tony can't play in that because of his broadcasting schedule. And he's like, well, if he's broadcasting on Monday night, it frees up some time. And I was talking to him yesterday, and he said, actually, he was surprised that you didn't end up going to Monday Night Football. Was there a point in which, during the process, you doubted it would end up being able to work out with CBS, the people who, you know, kind of plucked you from the NFL to the number one job?
Yeah, the one thing that comes just, Dad and everyone asks me a million times, and I just, you know, like anything, people are just guessing on everything, but I don't really, you know, nothing's that big a deal. And like I said, I just don't talk about, like, you know, some of that stuff. It's just, you know, I'm lucky to be in the position I am.
How did you find out it was done, and who was the first person you told?
When you go through anything in life, you always talk to your wife. You know, she's been there supportive through everything in my life, and you know, I'm just lucky to have a great woman, and you know, I'm just fortunate to be able to announce football games, and you know, I'm lucky, you know, that I have a great team at CBS that's fantastic, and just very fortunate to be around Jim Nance and the people, and have a special wife who helps you through all the stuff you go through in life, and it's always fun ride.
What did she say?
I love you.
Oh, come on.
She's just very supportive, and you know, I know everyone likes to sensationalize everything, but sometimes it's just, you know, just life.
Why does it make you uncomfortable talking about that topic specifically, or you know, contracts and?
I've just always said I just don't think it. You know, like I said, maybe 15 years down the road, you'll bring back up the Parcells, Jerry Jones story kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't think it's
embarrassing.
No, I just don't think it does anything. You know, it's just like I said, you work hard and try and sometimes you catch, you know, a break, or you get lucky once in a while. And I've been very fortunate in this life. I know that.
You've earned it.
Yeah,
you know. So just shifting gears, since I know you want to keep on the topic, but I'll, you know, injuries. What hurts? Well, before this, you were coming from the back doctor, I think. What hurts on you today?
Well, I mean, it'd probably be an easier question. I mean, it's your back. I've had back surgery and stuff, and so that means there's a million things. But every morning I go up, I go up to the clinic and go get worked on, and then I do a routine, and you work out and do that and try and get yourself aligned and activated, elongated, all this fun stuff, and allows me to be active and do the stuff I want and keeps you young.
How concerned are you, if any, about long-term impact to your body?
No, I mean, just you work hard and try and ensure and do a lot of things now to protect all that. So, but things are going to happen, they're going to happen, and you just fight like heck.
I want to run through some of your injuries over the years and just get
great.
like the first thing that
This will be a blast.
comes to what?
Go ahead.
All right, how about starting with when you collapse in the shower after the 2008 Eagles game?
Yeah. That was a rib cartilage that pops out. That's really fun to remember that moment. That thing would just knock you down. It was almost like something was just stabbing you. That was no fun.
But it's impressive, the injuries that you've had and the caliber of play that...
Impressive is one term you could use. I wouldn't necessarily go with that, but...
What did...
You just play. I mean, you're a quarterback, you fight through stuff. Everyone fights through stuff when they play football. It's like you're not going to play and not be hurt at different times, or at least you're not going to play through pain. So it's not like you're doing anything revolutionary there.
Broken ribs and punctured lung?
Everyone plays through all this stuff.
Collarbone injuries?
Tough one to play through. I think I tried a little bit, but probably shouldn't have.
How about the ruptured disc in the back?
Yep. Played a game with that one. That was a poor decision, I think.
In 2014, you broke 3 bones in your back, and you were back I think, a game and a half later.
Yeah, I sat out a game, yeah.
How do you manage to, when you're in that kind of pain, still get back out on the field?
It just means so much to you. I mean, you're competing, you just want to win, and you just want to help your team win. And, you're the quarterback, it means a lot. You being out there affects a lot of lives, and I think you just want to help your team, and you just know how big a game is to get in the playoffs at the end of the year, or to like get seeding or whatever it is. It's just like these games matter a lot, and like I said, everyone plays through a lot.
You fractured clavicle in 2015, or a few times, right?
Yeah, the clavicle was just one that kept, kind of breaking, and so we finally figured it out. But by that point, I was well on my way to talking like Graham Bensinger.
The fractured vertebrae in 2016 preseason. Nick was telling me at that point you finally got into a point where everything was slowing down for you. Mm-hmm. I guess you and Nick have had conversations about that. Explain what that means. Just
the game. You started to know it to a point where it was like math, where it just got, toward the end of your career. There's a few times you get hurt and you can't keep playing and help your team win. But as far as when I was healthy and playing during that stretch, I felt pretty confident about executing.
And you would almost know what was going to happen before it actually happened, right?
Well, just as you get older, most veteran quarterbacks, they just have a good idea, within the game on how to adapt and do little things that can help you, win. And football's such a team game. I mean, it still comes down to your team and, how that you execute and that stuff. But, the more knowledge you have, the faster you play. It slows down for you, but you can play faster because you just know so much more that you can use things against people on the other side, if that makes sense. And to what extent do you feel like that when the game had started to slow down and when you had an idea of what was going to happen before it happened, that you were entering your best years, but that time kind of got compressed because the body wasn't holding up? Yeah, I don't know, there's no big, thing. You just slowly get better, you're improving, and then things start to be more efficient. And I mean, you'd obviously like for all those things to add up in one time frame. But yeah, I'm not sitting here saying, this is the other part, this has happened before, people are saying, do you wish da-da-da? I'm like, I don't think the good Lord has given me a raw deal in this life. I think I'm very fortunate. I feel very lucky, and no one deserves, some of the really positive stuff that I've received. And it's what makes you want to just say thank you and give grace toward others, because it makes you have empathy in this world, because you feel very fortunate to have some of these really unique, special things happen. And I've heard you say that before, and I mean, certainly you're the luckiest guy around, but you, worked hard and earned it. The question I've had before when I've heard you say that is, because you're all about improvement, to what extent do you feel you maximized your talent? Yeah, I don't really go back a ton. I'm always kind of going forward. I just think the biggest thing is how lucky is it you get to wake up in the morning and be excited? That's such a small thing, but I'm like, that really is a great gift if anybody has that you're actually excited to get up out of bed and go do something or try something. That's what throwing the football was like for me, trying to figure out how to improve, how to figure out how to beat this team this week. These were really enjoyable things to wake up and do. And they just shifted, but it's like, man, I have these joys and they're really special, and I feel like that's a gift. It really is, that I don't want to ever take for granted. 2016, you're out. Dak wins 8 straight games. How did you find out that when you came back in week 11, you weren't going to be the starter anymore? Well, I think anybody who's winning, if their team was playing so well, it's kind of what will always happen. You just don't mess with that kind of success. And, just Coach Garrett, you sit down, you talk, but it's kind of like, you assume in a lot of ways as well. Describe what it's like to know
you're the best at what you do, but you have to take a step back because that's what's in the best interest of the group.
Yeah, I mean, just such a team sport. Football is not really about any individual, but yet we all want to be the best, and you all want to be, one of the major reasons that you guys are winning and being great. But, as you become a dad and you kind of get older, you can also see there's multiple sides. I mean, it's just not about me. It's about so many more people. And, but I just feel like when your team's playing well and everyone's playing really good football, it's a team sport. It's not about an individual.
The speech that you gave, your parents said when they were watching it that they were both crying. You used terms like soul crushing and a dark place. Why was it important to you to say what you said there?
Well, there's multiple reasons. I think one, just so you didn't have to sit and do that there's just going to be, every time when you get healthy, everyone was just going to, then in the locker room, from media to questions, and your teammates are just wondering how people are feeling and stuff like that too. And it's a little bit uncomfortable on everyone around that who has a relationship with me, and so you want to help that. I think the other one too is just an opportunity for kids. You think about how many kids out there want to play and start and be the best, and sometimes you have a setback or things don't go your way, and like I said, being a dad, you kind of hope sometimes they handle things a certain way, and sometimes it's better to try and live it than just tell them sometimes. And I felt like I could just help, some kids out there are just going through it.
I want to wrap up by talking to you about Candace and fatherhood. First, the first date with Candace. I understand you kind of tricked her.
At the time, I was like, hey, Candace, a bunch of us are going to a movie tonight. If you want to join in, come by. So I pick you up around 7 if you want. She's like, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, great. Sure enough, I show up, 6:55 or something like that. She gets out, and I'm like, everyone dropped out. It's just me and you. She's like, good. So I was like, would you be still going? She goes, probably. But it definitely made me more comfortable that everyone was going. I was like, I may have said that to make you more comfortable. I think I mapped that one out pretty good.
Your buddy Tommy called it apparently after 2 dates that this was the person you were going to marry. What was different?
Just her. I mean, she's just rare in a lot of ways. Very exceptional. And you just don't meet many like her, I'll tell you that. She's special.
How about the most romantic thing you've ever done?
Most romantic thing I've ever done. There's 2 different ways to say that, because one of them is what I think is the most romantic.
Well, I'm going to ask her. I'm going to ask her too. So let's see if it's
the most romantic thing I've ever done for her. There's just too many. I've done too many romantic things.
All right, what's one that comes to mind?
Romance is interesting because I feel like sometimes just love in general, just grace, just your ability to, we're just going to go through the ups, the downs, the positives, everything, and weave our way through this and watch these kids grow up. And, I feel like that's something that is really romantic at its core, I guess. Just that you can really trust someone, like no matter what happens in this world and all the craziness that goes on, and then we're just going to sit there and be together in the end.
You have 3 kids. Want any more?
I always tell her I'm up, and she's always like, we're not having any more. We're not. And every once in a blue moon, we'll be on date night or something, and she'll be like, we need to really figure this out. Are we going to have a 4th? And I'm like, what happened to no more for the last month? And now tonight you're thinking maybe? No. Unless you were thinking it, Tony. I'm like, I'm fine. It's whatever you want. But I think she's more often than not saying probably no more.
How's being a dad?
I love it. Yeah, it's the best. It really is.
What's the best part and the hardest part?
I mean, the best part is just you got 3 little like best friends running around all the time, and you're just. For me, it's just I'm fun dad. Candace's like, do I have to tell you to also put your bowl in the sink? I already have to tell them, and I'm like, you do not have to tell me again. And then they're just really, really enjoyable and fun, and they're really good kids, and that part of it's the best. The worst, I mean, usually just sleep. When the kids are young, growing up, you're always someone's waking you up every 45 minutes before your alarm's going to go off pretty much every morning. So, but that's really an easy thing in this sacrifice for them.
Whether it's Hulk Hogan or Andre the Giant or Bird versus Magic or the Hoosiers, I understand you're trying to get the kids up to speed on some of your childhood favorites.
Oh yeah, no, I build them up. They're gonna, if they're playing NBA 2K, Michael Jordan, that's for the title if someone has him or something. So I'll sprinkle in stuff with them all the time, and I like to show them great stories, great moments, and they love it. It's fun.
How do you think you'll be able to find the balance between all the opportunities that you'll be able to create for them because of the success you've had without dampening motivation?
I find that stuff's, I don't worry about that stuff. I just want to instill in them, they're going to be who they are. I just want to instill in them certain values, certain things, and then they're going to be themselves. At the end of it, Dad's just here to love on them and, you know, guide them whenever they need that. And I think, you know, they'll be motivated in certain things. They won't be. I mean, it's just like any human being. It's just going to be, hopefully they find something they're passionate about and they can wake up and enjoy something as they work at it.
And I'll wrap with this, the last question. What are your dreams and aspirations for them? Your dad told me to ask that.
I think I just want them to, you know, understand it's not, you know, it's not all about them. I mean, they're very fortunate in this regard that in this life, I think you're just lucky sometimes, like me, just, you know, having the parents I did or having an environment or certain things to achieve certain things that not everyone gets an opportunity to. And for them, you know, I want them to love the Lord. I want them to understand that, you know, they were given gifts. They're also sinful little, you know, rugrats that run around and are going to mess up, and it's okay. And then on top of it, you know, just have empathy for people. And I don't really mind the success stuff as far as what the achievement comes from it. I just want them to be good people, and I want them to care about, you know, others and love on their mom and, yeah, stay close to the Lord.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Graham. Appreciate you hounding me.
That was not that painful, was it?
No, it wasn't. You're great.